So I've been doing linear regression with my students and thought that would be a good thing to demonstrate on the NSpire and see some of the differences between the way this does it and the way the TI-30s that we normally use take care of that. And so the first thing you'll want to do linear regression with data here is go ahead and set up a spreadsheet, which the NSpire makes easy to do, and you can use the keyboard to enter in your labels for your variables at this point. So I've stolen some data off of an example from the web. And I'm sticking to using just the regular keyboard here so that you can get an idea of what your students will have to go through, which is a bit more tedious than using the laptop or computer keyboard that you might have. But it does get you used to doing the key presses that you have to do for various things on the NSpire that aren't always completely intuitive. There's the height data, and then we'll go put the weight in. And there's all the data entered. Now I'm just going to scroll back up to the top of the list here. And then if you hit the menu button, you'll get a menu with a bunch of different choices. The one we're looking for here is in the stats choice. We're going to do linear regression. I'm going to stick with the slope-intercept form since that's what we use in class. You can choose your variable names if you put them in, or it'll just take your x's and y's if you'd like as well. And click OK, and it'll calculate the various linear regression stats. You get your slope and intercept there, r squared and r, and then it actually calculates the residuals here in a list as well. We can look at it in a minute. And then the next step would be to go ahead and graph things. For that, you can just do Control and set up a new page and do data and statistics on that page, and you'll get the scatter plot of your data where you can put the axes in that you want labeled, and it will slide things into place, center the graph, zoom the graph in for you. And then here you can hit menu and analyze and have it generate the line directly onto that as well. Move the line itself around, which is kind of nice with the equation for the line. I'm not sure I'm a fan of the way it writes the equations for the lines. That may be editable, but I haven't dug quite that deeply yet. The multiplication part is not so bad, but the plus minus will definitely throw my students off at least. You get a graph that by default is zoomed in. You can hit the menu again and zoom in and out on that, and at that point you can just click your way in and out, and you can move things around and get various different setups there. And I don't find that to be all that intuitive, but if we go ahead and zoom back to the data, you can use the hand at the bottom, mouse here, and presumably I'm going to try and do this part with the NSpire keyboard, but with live NSpire you could do it a little bit more precisely and get your origin where you'd like it to be. Oops, a little too far there. And try to get them to lock together. They get a little finicky right around 0. At least using my mouse they do. Which would not inspire me with a lot of confidence for using little trackpad on the NSpire. But you can also do that from the far end of the graph and get your domain and range into something approaching reasonable values for the data that you have, and get your graph set up this way. You can go back and look at the various statistics. A couple other things that it will allow you to do here. You can, and this is going to change the data that we've got to work with, but you can pick a point or points. You can highlight them and you can drag them around and watch the line regenerate itself as you do so. And that one snapped back to something close to where it was originally. I think we were at 61 and 95 originally. So let's see if we can slide that back over. And presumably we go back to the spreadsheet itself and change those values. And here I'm going to cheat again a little bit. You can see the spreadsheet values here have changed from what they were. But if we go back, we can change back to 61 and 95, which were the original values. And if we go back, we've got our same line back. So this works pretty well. I think it's nice. It's nicer than the TI-30s that we use in class, in the sense that you can actually see the graph on the calculator as you do it. The screens, though, I mean, you can see here we've got kind of a limited amount of data as it emulates the screen for us. The screen itself is just not all that large, and I think if I were getting to the point of showing this material graphically, I would very much prefer to do it on a computer screen or on a display screen for the class. And I think that's probably one of the biggest drawbacks to the calculator itself. The calculations it can do, and especially the algebra it can do, are pretty impressive. But from a functional standpoint, for some of the graphical displays, I'm not sure that the screen is really big enough to be as useful as it would be on a computer.